What is SPED? Special education is a program in schools to help students with disabilities learn. These students spend most of their school day in a general education classroom. They may be pulled out of their class for a specified amount of time or have push-in services where the teacher will go into the general education classroom to help the student. In order for a student to qualify for SPED, they need to be referred by a parent or teacher and then be evaluated after a consent test is signed by the parents. An evaluation consists of tests, classroom observations, and other tests such as psychiatric, occupational therapy, or even speech. After the evaluation, the teachers and parents will meet to discuss the student's individualized education plan, or IEP. Both parents and teachers have to agree and sign the IEP. There are many reasons a student on an IEP may not succeed. The IEP may not work for the student, the general education teacher may not follow the IEP, or the general education teacher may not understand how students with disabilities think. What is the IDEA? The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act is what SPED is based off of. The IDEA promises that every student has a free and appropriate public education, known as FAPE. FAPE consists of the resources a specific school can provide for a student and the IEP. Accommodations and goals are made in the IEP process. There are 13 specific disabilities that students may have to qualify for SPED. The student will qualify as long as the disability affects their academic education. How can a teacher become qualified for special education? SPED teachers are required to have a bachelor's degree in education and special education. These laws may vary from state to state and may even vary between school districts. Teachers must also be licensed. An exception to this rule is if a person has a bachelor's degree in something other than education. They can go through the alternative route to licensing, or ARL. ARL is a series of classes so that the teacher can become licensed while teaching. How does the evaluation and the IEP work? Before the evaluation can begin, the parents have to sign a consent to test after referral is made by a teacher or the parent. The parent has the option to deny help for their student or pursue the help being offered. During the evaluation, a team of professionals will complete a series of tests with the student. The team may consist of a psychologist, the special education teachers, the general education teachers, a speech therapist, or an occupational therapist. A student may need all of the services or just a few. If there is a medical diagnosis of any disability, the school will provide SPED services, but the student will need to complete a test in order for the parent and teacher to decide what services the student should receive and to identify if the disability is affecting the academic education. The individual education plan is an agreement between the school and the parents for the child to receive help. An IEP consists of specific goals, accommodations, minutes needed for service, and any other help this child may need as long as the school is able to provide it. So does it work? So for the IDEA, a free and appropriate public education may only work for one student instead of the majority. The team has to decide if a student qualifies based on the evaluation. If the student has a high IQ, they may not qualify but still need the help. Teacher qualifications. A SPED teacher's degree and license are just for filling out paperwork and reassuring parents that the teacher is qualified. The teacher is almost always filling out and changing IEPs or doing any other form of paperwork, including behavior intervention plans and RTIs. Therefore, they do not have enough time to actually teach. Testing and the IEP. So going along with the teacher not having enough time to teach, the tests take up way too much time, especially when the general education teacher does not follow the response to intervention or the RTI. They may refer a student without having any evidence that the student cannot be helped in the general education classroom. Why is it important? Every student has the opportunity for success because of the IDEA. Teachers have something to go off of so that they are following the law and know what the requirements for SPED are. A qualified teacher will give the parent reassurance. The students will receive the education they deserve as long as the paperwork does not get in the way. The teacher will be able to make a difference and have personal gratification. The testing and the IEP are important because the teacher will have evidence that a student needs services. The teacher will also be following the law. Students will be challenged in a positive way. Parents will know the school is trying to help their child and they have a voice in what happens in their children's education. Not every program can be perfect, so what does not work for SPED? The 13 disabilities are broad and may not cover a student that needs services but does not qualify. FAPE is not completely individualized because it is what the school can offer. There may be a group of students needing the same service, but they have a different learning style. So with the general education teachers, they have a full classroom, so they may send a behavior student with an IEP out for something that could be handled in the classroom. Since the general education teacher has a lot going on for the majority of the time, since they have over 30 students most of the time, they may forget to follow the IEP and could potentially cause the school to get sued. So for SPED teachers, they have the hardest job of all because they do everything. They teach, they do paperwork, they test students who may qualify, and they deal with behavior. These factors take up way too much time for their teaching. Here's what I propose. General education teachers should have to understand the difference between each disability. They should also understand how and be able to handle behavior coming from a SPED student. This way, the general education teacher can handle the behavior and the SPED teacher can continue teaching or filling out the IEP or paperwork that they need to do. But what about unsupervised students in the general education classroom? There should be 2 adults in the classroom, a general education teacher and a para-educator or an assistant teacher. The SPED teacher will still have to do the evaluations in the IEP, but taking behavior away will cause the SPED teacher to have more time to teach